So please welcome our guest that has helped us to expose this kind of thing. One of America's most influential advisors, that's Rebecca Walser. Thanks for being on the show, Rebecca. Yeah, they actually celebrated their last delivery of coal, but yet this power plant, which is 16% of their power, doesn't really have anything to back it up with yet. Those power plants, those green new power plants, aren't ready to come online. So now everything's going to go up in price. And again, it does smell of something similar, doesn't it?
You know, I swear, Scott, we need to get politicians to sign a contract with people before they run or before they get sworn in that says, if I propose green energy, I will break down for you all the alternatives that we will bring online, how fast, how much they will cost, and what percentage of energy will you be able to maintain? Because that's the illusion here. You know, it's a beautiful uncutting of a ribbon of a closing of a coal power plant until people don't have the air conditioning in Hawaii that they need. Or, you know, sometimes it gets cold in the winters and they might need some heat. I mean, I know it's Hawaii, so I mean, people are going to laugh at me like, really, Rebecca? But I'm telling you, they do still need their energy in Hawaii. And where is it coming from in the absence of coal? And that's the question that no politician answers.
And there, you know, obviously, I've said this, I don't know how many times, these are two different energies. You can't compare the two. They can complement each other, but they can't replace each other. They're not fungible, okay? Right. So something that's only, you know, it's got to be sunny out and it's got to be windy out. That's not really good enough for me when we've got something over here that is cheap and we can store it and it's at our disposal, right? And so those are the types of things that you need to have these politicians understand, because look, everybody wants clean air and clean water. I hate having to pre-apologize for this whole stupid argument, right? Nobody doesn't want clean air and clean water. And for some reason, I feel like I have to say that every time I get in this argument. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get there with wind and solar. It's just not good enough yet. And it might not be good enough. You know, there's been a lot of good things written about how we're just virtue signaling this whole thing without having, there's no proper discussion and or operations behind the idea to get it done.
Exactly right. I mean, if you just look at Russia, you know, they are the largest exporter of natural gas. Europe relied on them in 2021. 75% of their natural gas came from Russia, and almost 50% of their coal came, or crude oil rather, came from Russia. Now they've decided in March and May to really sort of get rid of Russia and sort of farm out to something else, but they don't have alternatives. They are not telling the European people and the European Union bloc what this means for their daily use. And it's very interesting because what we don't see, Scott, is we don't see politicians not flying on private jets, not going in their, you know, luxury cars, not taking their vacations. We see them saying a lot, but they do not do anything by actual example. And that's the problem. Let's cut off Russia because of this invasion into Ukraine, but let's not tell our people where they're going to get their energy. They're basically saying you're not going to have it. And when you look at the alternatives that are green, that are viable, that could be competitive, only the one that I can really see is nuclear. They're decommissioning nuclear power plants throughout the world. They're decommissioning one in Germany as we speak. They're decommissioning them in the United States. So nuclear power, which is a green solution, people aren't going for. And they're starting this conversation again because they're realizing that these green alternatives are not as effective and efficient as, just like you just said, are cheaper fossil fuels that can be easily stored. And because they have not done the work, they have had all of these decades, probably 30 years, we've been talking about climate change. Where is the work that's been done to really give us green alternatives that can really take us from one system to the other? They haven't done it because they know there is nothing other than nuclear that can really bring us from one system to the other. And therefore, they just want to do this by fiat. They want to just basically make it happen after Corona as a convenience. And too bad, however your life changes is how your life changes, because their life isn't changing. Your life is changing.
Right. And you're exactly right. They saw what can happen over coronavirus. People can be controlled. And that's where they get these harebrained ideas that they can do it with this one as well. And so, you know, I read a great article over the weekend about a guy that, you know, went cross country in his Tesla or whatever electric vehicle he had. And he said it was like going back to the Jane Austen era, right? Where can I stop and get fresh horses for the evening while my car charges for 9 hours, right? It's just absolutely nowhere near where it needs to be. And then once we get the cities done, then can you imagine? I mean, I talk to rural people all day long, every day on the show. How are they supposed to go? How are you supposed to get your tractors to be all electronic between now and 2030 or 2035? And by the way, 2030 and 2035, those are just made up dates, just like 15 days to stop the spread or say 6 feet social distancing. I mean, we have to stop with the nonsense. And you're right. Have these politicians let us know how much they are going to change our lives with these harebrained ideas that just can't be implemented.
Yeah, and just keep in mind the Agenda 2030 date has been moved up. They signed an MOU in March of this year. The United Nations and the World Economic Forum signed a memorandum of understanding to push the date for their Agenda 2030 goals to 2023. And that really, Scott, is that what has created all of this fast movement towards green energy, almost like on the back of Corona, almost like it came from Corona. And therefore, we know now that climate change all of a sudden is a major emergency. We have to move to green energy by next year. They have moved up these dates so outrageously. This is why you're seeing all of these things happen so fast, with Canada now being the next to go ahead and say we need a reduction of 30% in nitrogen and fertilizer. They're next after, Holland. You're seeing all of these things happen. It is a concerted effort by design to really push us to this green policy by next year. And you're 100% right. They have not done the work to really get us viable alternatives. And therefore, what they're expecting is all of us to just go blindly into that good night and accept whatever lifestyle it is. And a lot of people aren't going to do that.
That's exactly it. And another one of my bigger points is that we've been working on this, as you said, since 1980s, 1990s. This has been something that's been in the works. No one's been surprised by this Green New Agenda or this Green New Deal, wind and solar. But it's just not possible, or it would have happened already. At the end of the day, Rebecca, I just have to say this. The government hasn't made the sale to the people, or we'd be knocking down the doors to Tesla and everybody would be putting a wind turbine in their backyard. It's just not the better choice yet. When it is, Americans will move.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. If you bring us the data and we can believe and buy into it, we'll accept. But if you don't have the data and you don't have the alternatives, and you have to do this sort of in a shove of the pen over 18 months really fast, where farmers are losing their farms and people are not able to feed their families, watch out. I will just say, when people can't feed their children, watch out.
I tell you what, thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. We're going to keep talking to you about it every now and again. Hopefully it doesn't dominate everything, but it's important enough that it might have to. So appreciate that. Thank you very much. Rebecca Walser coming to us from Tampa, Florida.